So, believe it or not, I didn't come here prepared at all because I wanted to see what would show up. And based off of so far, what's come up is that I have a belief that there's a way to also not be polarized from the get-go. And what I mean by that is that we have filters, we have programming. So, as an example, imagine if you have been programmed to be married at a certain age, to have a child, and all these other programs, and you still have that within yourself. You could be on Facebook, you could be walking on the street, and you see a woman glowing and smiling, and she has children, and you think, oh, that's something I missed out in life, and you get triggered every time. But what if you were to feel that trigger all the time? Would you say it's because of this experience outside of yourself? Or would you ask the question, what is it about me that feels separate from love right now? What is it about me that's been programmed to believe that I'm not worthy now? And therefore, this is why I feel this, because I didn't say have that life experience. Another example of a filter would be this. We've spoken about the idea that there's a lot of chaos on the planet, that there's a lot of uncertainty. So the thing is that there's also, in this very moment, heaven on earth. And that is the polarity that Anna talked about. Like, no matter what, everyone's having their own unique experience. So if there's a lot of uncertainty on the planet, and let's just say that I have an issue with control issues, like I have to control things, or I think that by me being able to like have things go my way will make me feel safe, then these current times has to feel really unsafe, not because of what's happening out there, not because of what we're seeing, but our own unique relationship to control or uncertainty. And therefore, it's very important to be able to stay in the eye of the hurricane, because shit has been happening all along. And you could see decades ago, 20 decades, like 20 years ago, 30 years ago, during those times, they also thought, this is it. During those times, some people jumped off bridges and committed suicide because the stock market crashed. We've been basically in this time and space many times in this human experiences where we haven't really graduated to that next level of consciousness. And that is that all these things are here for us to grow and expand. And if we were to look where we were and where we have been to where we are, there's a lot more, I would say, enlightened people. I'm not saying better, but there's a lot more people who are up-leveling themselves, that they're moving to this level of consciousness. For God's sake, I mean, just imagine how Socrates felt during his times, or Jesus and so forth. So we're moving out of this dense matter to this higher level of awareness right now. However, if we haven't healed trust issues within ourselves, if we haven't healed issues about the idea that we have to control things, if we haven't healed the idea that we have to have it all figured out, if we haven't changed primarily mostly negative programming by generations prior to this, and we can even call that generational programming, then constantly we're going to be triggered. Constantly we're going to feel that stuff come up and feel that stuff and feel that stuff come up, to where while we might do yoga, while we might do breath work, while we might say, look at our affirmations and say something positive, every time we step outside our door, every time we go on Facebook, we're still going to feel triggered because we haven't changed the programs. And that's really what my work is about. That's why I mentioned in the beginning that I wrote a book called All It Takes Is One, Drop Your One Big Hidden Belief. And it's all about looking at those programs that we have in regards to our sexuality, in regards to religion, in regards to past trauma, in regards to having the idea parent and so forth. And we see movies that portray those same collective narratives to feed on the human emotions, because when humans are charged, of course they're going to watch movies because there's something in that movie for them, whether it scares them, whether it makes them cry, or whether it inspires them. That everything that we see in the planet on the planet is an extension to our consciousness, to our unconscious mind, both light and dark. So this is the most amazing time for us to heal all of our shit. I also mentioned that I've had a lot of extensive conversations with Bashar, and that's what he meant by, especially in 2019, he said, in 2020, you're going to be blown away by all these extreme different parallel realities. You're going to be blown away by all these different beliefs people have about certain things, people who are your friends, people who you respect, that it's all going to be put out there for this experience, for all of us to be able to clear ourselves, to have that opportunity to be polarized, to see the contrast and take personal responsibility, if that makes sense. Because again, remember, we are the ones feeling ourselves. And we'll continue to feel ourselves either in a negative or positive way until we shift our consciousness. And that we can do. That we can do, guaranteed. And I'll give you an example. So let's just imagine right now, I am just afraid of what's going to happen to our economy. And if I were really to take personal responsibility, I might say to myself, wow, I've always kind of struggled with money. If I don't have certainty or control over what's going to happen with like our economy, will I be able to take care of myself? If I can't take care of myself or my children, what will happen? I can die. I can become homeless. What will happen to, oh my God, I'm afraid I won't be supported. If you keep stripping it back, it'll go to probably the idea or belief that I really don't trust the process of life. I also, while I say I'm spiritual and I have a relationship with God, truly, I'm afraid to really live like freely. Like I have a lot of control and attachment issues here. And therefore, what I'm seeing online, when I'm hearing from my friends who are in my same echo chamber, that they too maybe are in that soul group who are working through this also. Not that it's truth, but it's an opportunity to look at that, wow, we truly don't trust ourselves. I don't trust myself. That would be an example. And what I just shared is something that, everyone could like go through, say, going through my book, but it's stripping it down to like, what is it about what I'm seeing that's making me or influencing me to feel this way? Another one would be where you're witnessing things happening on the planet where you do see people where you feel they're being hurt, and you get angry about it. And it is happening to some people. But what's interesting about that is, but what is that saying about you? And what I mean by that is, when I see another person being hurt, I feel hopeless. See, there's back to the personal responsibility. I feel like I can't do anything too. I have been the underdog, and I am projecting onto these people. And you can go deeper than that to, why are we here? To, how do I know this person's free will? To, how do I even know what I'm watching and observing is helping me to grow? To, how do I even know what this person's soul contract is for us to come together, for us to expand humanity, if that makes sense? And so therefore, when I talk about the collective narrative, it's not just what you see on the planet or on the news. It's also what we're experiencing in the unseen. Many of us are being forced to let go of this control. Many of us are being forced to let go of these human illusions that this is how you live a happy life, that this is what creates certainty. And we're having to step back and really ask those deeper questions right now. And so, like, back to the Bashar thing, that's what he said. It's that you're going to have to really become authentic. You're really going to have to get to the root questions that about yourself you've been avoiding. And when the planet or the human beings get to that place, then more of you, all of us, will start living more in synchronicity. We'll be living in trust. Just imagine it right now. If you're around just 100,000 people in your area who had the idea, I can trust, I'm in sync with the universe. Just imagine how everyone will be living off of synchronicity, where it would no longer be a miracle. What would happen is as things show up, and that is true abundance, knowing that you experience things, you see things at the perfect moment to experience the abundance of life. And when I say abundance of life, it's not necessarily money. It's not even necessarily like physical support. It's knowing that everything that we see, insects, a car accident, to something triggering us, is actually trying to help us to look at ourselves, for us to look at how much we try to control, to help us trust ourselves more beyond the story, because all that is happening are stories. And so what we have to find out is, what is our story? What is my story? What is my story? How do I want to live anyway? And this doesn't mean that you don't care about someone in pain. But remember that if you're in pain also, and you're in that perceived cave that you feel you have shackles on your hands, then how can you help that person get out also? We have to continue to stay in the light. We have to continue to live our lives to our best ability as possible. And this doesn't mean you walk around and say, I'm positive. This doesn't mean that I'm not going to feel this pain about this person. This doesn't mean that I'm going to say, well, that person has a soul contract and I just don't know. It's about recognizing, again, take it back to yourself. What does this say about me? How do I really feel about this? What is it about this that I'm allowing to make me feel helpless to what is truly my relationship to Jesus or God or Source? Is really what I practice more performative, or am I embodying it? Because if I were embodying it, I probably wouldn't feel this. And we all know this. The moment you get out of a yoga class, the moment you do a sound bath, the moment that you just take pause, the moment that you look at your child who's smiling anyway, even if you had a shitty day, or that there's shit happening on the news, and they look at you like, God is here, I'm happy anyway. That's what I'm talking about, is being able to drop into that innocence, to that heart-felt space that's there anyway, without the knowledge that we adult humans have cultivated. So we have to move back into that innocence, into that vibratory state in which our hearts are open, and that we're able to see things for what they are, to not be polarized by them, but to do our own healing and show up the way that we want anyway. It is utterly important. So what I like to do here is take you on a little journey here. But before I do this, this is really a good example. And I don't know how well this is going to come through. So by the way, the reason why I have this background is because I just moved to Asheville. And so there's a bunch of boxes back there, and I don't want you to see them. So see if you can see this bowl. There we go. All right, I'm just going to move it around a little bit. Okay, there we go. It's showing. So a little example I used to do with my clients to talk about like belief systems is I would put this bowl in their hand and I'd ask them, what would you pay for this? Some people would say, nothing. It's not my style. Some of them would go 20 bucks. Someone would say, it looks kind of old, maybe like 80 bucks. And they would just say it casually. And then I would say, do you know you're holding a 3,000-year-old bowl? This is 3,000 years old. And the moment I said that, they would go, oh my God, they would maybe not want to hold it because they are afraid of the responsibility to hold this. Or they would say it's invaluable, or they would say $1,000. And they would change their belief. They would change the price that they would pay for this just based off new information I gave them. Now, remember, there is no inherent value in this. There is no inherent value in us. You shouldn't change your belief about something just because the news tells you something, just because your friends told you something, to even this, that we make things important to us. We give things value. We give negative comments value. We allow ourselves to match negative vibrations. The person doesn't. We feed into it. And so therefore, this would be a way to share with my new clients is that, remember, if you stay true to yourself, you will not allow yourself to be succumbed to what's happening out there. You'll wake up knowing that this is my value, this is who I am, and nothing you say, or no matter how many likes you get or not, is going to change how I feel. So this is a really great little example to recognize that we give value to things. It's not given to us, no matter what someone says, okay? So, all right, so I'm gonna do a little process with you. Unless you're driving, don't close your eyes. So let me have you close your eyes. So this is a 300-old Tibetan bowl. And you feel that vibration? Feel that moving through your body. Feel it moving through your heart. Notice how pure it is. Notice how pure you are. And even in this moment, while I'm doing this, you have the choice to feel good. You have the choice to just hear it as a bowl. You have the choice to feel this deep in your soul. But what I'd like you to ask yourself is this, or these questions. Who am I anyway? What is my story anyway? How do I want to feel anyway? How do I want to show up anyway? Because that is your gift when you are authentically yourself. How do I want to love anyway? Let's just say this. What if it were finally the end? Meaning you're on an airplane or you're in a place of uncertainty. How do you want to live out the rest of uncertainty? In fear or in love? And here's the interesting thing. If you stay in love, your heart is open and no fear can exist in that space. We have to remember who we really are. We have to remember that a lot of things that we see online are matching our algorithms and what we click and link to, and sometimes it matches more of our fear, our negative stuff. Sometimes shoes we're looking for keep popping up, and that might be a fun thing. Or we're clicking pictures on cute puppies and animals, and that shows up in our algorithm. I think that's better, at least for me. But remember, what we see online typically is algorithms matching our joy and fear. What do we want to really pay attention to? What do we really want to click on? What information, energy do we really want to invite ourselves to be subjected to? Be careful with what you consume. Consume love, God. Take a deep breath in that. Feel that in your space. And if I had a message in this, it would be just ask yourself those questions. Who am I anyway? What story am I going to tell myself anyway? How am I going to love anyway? How can I contribute in a positive way anyway? how can I love anyway? And keep it simple. And the moment you find yourself going into the fear or something out there, remember, you're feeling yourself. You are feeling yourself. It doesn't mean to deny what you're feeling, but remember, it's coming from a filter within. You're feeling yourself. And if you practice feeling love anyway, the rest of what's out there will start to disintegrate. That's not your match. You literally will stop seeing it. And that's what's going to happen moving forward on Earth. That more and more, the splitting of the realities are going to shift more in the positive. And more, we're going to see more global peace. That might not happen until 2050, but we're just in a muck of it. And things are going to continue to get better.
Thank you, Ray.
You're welcome.
Awesome. I resonated so much with everything you said. So the link for his free call is there, but then we'll also send it in an email. So Anna and Anjay, if you want to come back on, and while we're waiting for them, if you have any questions for Ray, go ahead and put it in the chat. I have a question for Ray. So I loved everything you said, the ego, right? Like you were talking about reprogramming and the story and being in love, which I love what you said about the bull, how people are like, oh, shifted their perspective on a dime. I just love that. Yeah. What can people do? Let's say they're struggling with their ego, like the right and wrong that we've been talking about, but they want to move into the frequency of love and they want to move into this frequency of neutrality. Is there some kind of something they can do in the moment to help quiet the ego when the ego, the old programming rears its head and they just want to react or get mad? What can they do in that moment? Do you have an idea?
Well, there's two things. One is, it's kind of what I brought up in the beginning. So a person has, like, their ego comes up, then they still have an issue with self-identity, true self-identity. So there's inner work, there's shadow work to get to the authentic self, so it doesn't get in the way. So that's the first thing. But the other part is, if the other voice, the ego comes up, is get to what that actually feels like in the body, somatically. It feels like resistance. And there's no resistance in God. There's no resistance in spirit. So even if I don't know what's in my head, like I shared a lot, and it could sound like, God, this guy's in his head, but I was trying to articulate a process, which is fucking difficult. So, right? And so, but it's just like, oh, like, the moment you want to punch, that's it. I don't have to go, I need to label that. That's my ego. Or I can just simply, I don't even have to go to what I suggested. Is that the uncertainty Dr. Ray talked about? It's more like, yes, it is. So it's just like, where's it coming from? My solar plexus. All right, there I am. Oh, I'm feeling out of control. All right, there I am. And in time when you practice this, you're going to start arriving there anyway from just laughter. I mean, like, I'm a pretty comical person anyway. So but I have a relationship to comedy because I choose to have a relationship with comedy. That's my new program. What does being lighter mean? What does enlightened really mean? It's like, why is Buddha always smiling and seemed happy? So I want to enlighten each moment to my best ability without denying the things that come up. But they don't need to stay there the whole day.